esa cárcel, con los humildes de Estados Unidos, como los humildes del Alto, tendría una consigna, la consigna de la ciudad del Alto. El Alto de pie, nunca de rodillas. Y esta es, queridos compañeros y queridas compañeras, una forma de resumir lo que el presidente Morales ha definido por la diplomacia de los pueblos. Les presento, por tanto, a Majora.
We are so lucky to be here. Dear friend, it's such a special evening, and for me, I can't even tell you. I'm introducing the first Indigenous president in this hemisphere. President of the country, it means something good. But continuing on that momentum, his leadership was instrumental in passing the UN Declaration of Rights of Indigenous Peoples. And only 4 countries had the audacity to vote against it. All of them English speaking, but you can talk amongst yourself about that later. But before I get into some of the truly impressive things attributed to President Evo Morales, I want to put into context what is meant by indigenous. All people have moved, been moved, or taken someone from someone else throughout history. Right? So what does the word indigenous mean, and why is it so important? This is all about dignity. Domination comes at the expense of dignity, and caring supports dignity. And in the absence of caring, we see suffering, which can vary by degrees, but in every instance, there's a deficit of equality. When we say indigenous, we can also mean the people who suffer the consequences of inequality, domination, loss of dignity. And this is something I understand well because statistically speaking, I shouldn't even be here. I grew up in the South Bronx in New York City while it was burning, literally. And in that environment, kids like me were more known to be teenage moms, or on drugs, or dead, or all of the above. As a matter of fact, I lost a brother who came back after 2 terms in Vietnam, only to be gunned down a few blocks from my house. And that really was not all that uncommon for the time, and through a patient or so, I escaped. But then when I returned home, I began to understand that the same top-down planning that created the South Bronx of my youth helped us set the stage for the environmental abuses of today. And suddenly it seemed like a place not that one should escape from, but one should help liberate. A place with people without power that had been regulated and degraded by people with power. Sound familiar? People anywhere in the world know what they want and need, but when others who are not connected to those places make those decisions, bad things happen. And in the case of the South Bronx and areas like it all over the world, we're point sources for the greenhouse gases that everybody's trying to curb now. From the truck traffic, the power plants, the chemical plants, refineries, waste facilities, hyperconsumption continues to support asthma, obesity, diabetes, incarceration. These are all connected to the environment and disconnect us all from the earth. There's even evidence now to show that in proximity to those fossil emissions cause brain damage in our young children, decreasing their ability to learn. Feel all the health effects, the spiritual effects. All the while, decision makers point to land values as justification for those actions. The people of Bolivia, only mistake was to be born in a land with valuables underneath it. Just like mine was being born in a land that was close enough to Manhattan so it could be useful, but so that the people really were sort of expendable. So we won't fight against these injustices, and they tell us, well, that's just the way mining or waste handling goes, What else can we do to get our needs done? And that leaves you in a bad spot unless you're prepared to fight for something. And not just for something that meets your needs, but a lot of people's needs. And one of the reasons why Evo Morales' movement is such a breath of fresh air is the more I learn about him, the more I see in action a principle that my agency applies to our own efforts, opposing bad things with a good alternative, oppose destruction with creation. And with the recognition of what we're trying to do as a field, whether it's fighting against waste facilities, parks and greenways, we're also building and trying to build a clean tech future for the South Bronx. And clean tech is basically industries that make products and use processes that provide a net benefit to the environment. Our proposed eco-industrial center is a collection of businesses that process and use recycled materials on a site with good barge and rail access, great jobs for the community, solid waste mitigation, fewer trucks, greenway development, a more healthy future. And with our 25% unemployment rate in the South Bronx, those green jobs can be a stabilizing influence for our community that has suffered environmentally, economically, and spiritually. And now that vision is under threat by the city. We plan on building a 2,000-bed jail right on that same site. So we say better clean jobs for a better economy, better environment, better future for us all. And they say jail. Again, it's the domination economy versus caring economy all over the place. Well, our honored guest here tonight is a man who is no stranger to opposition from the top down or the bottom up. He's an example of what can be done despite all the obstacles he's in office succumb to. And I beg you to take note of the man we're about to hear from as an example of unity and its power. And as part of that success can be seen in the name of his political party, MAS, Movimiento al Socialismo. Forgive my poor Spanish. Moving away from that domination culture and towards a more caring society. Evo Morales got 54% of the vote within a field of 8 other major candidates because people believe that he represented much, because they believe that much. And we have so much to learn. Do you imagine us electing somebody with that much of the vote in this country? I just couldn't. But if we think about it in a globalized world of free trade, our greatest important thing is not the natural resources that we take in prices made artificially low by its domination, but the ideals and the example through that caring and dignity for the earth, for our people, for all our people to succeed in ways unimaginable today. And before President Morales gets up, I'm going to ask you guys to I'm obviously, my ancestry is in Africa, but I haven't been there in a long time, obviously, but it's a tradition that folks say, as part of a blessing, it's sort of like there's a path, between heaven and earth when the call response happens, and that the response is the word ashe. There's no direct word for it, but it actually is something that we should say. So I'm going to say a line, and I want you guys to say ashe. Okay? Repeat after me. How would you say? Ashe. Ashe. Okay. So ladies and gentlemen, with great humility, I present you a single man who embodies the potential like few others in history. Ashe. A man who is unafraid of the challenge and responsibilities it represents, who lives and breathes it. Ashe. A man who has been to the mountaintop, who has seen the promised land. Ashe. Ladies and gentlemen, President of Bolivia, Evo Morales.